Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god! Jane's got a haircut! Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to the new hair. Not as majestic as before. I understand. Some people might be mad. But anyways, I am Chains. Welcome to the Chains Project. Today's reading is Genesis chapter 7, verse 1 to 24. The Great Flood. Not that great. I mean, I'd give it 3 Japans out of 5. What, too soon? Then the Lord said to Noah, Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and its mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the air also, male and female, to keep their kind alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I shall send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground. And Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came on the earth. And Noah with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood, of clean animals and of animals that are not clean, and of birds, and of everything that creeps on the ground. 2 and 2, male and female, went into the ark with Noah, as God had commanded Noah. And after 7 days the waters of the flood came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened. The rain fell on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day Noah with his sons, Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons entered the ark. They and every wild animal of every kind, and all domestic animals of every kind, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every bird of every kind, every bird, every winged creature. They went into the ark with Noah, 2 and 2 of all flesh, in which there was the breath of life. And those that entered, male and female of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. The flood continued for 40 days on the earth, and the waters increased, and bore up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters swelled and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the face of the waters. The waters swelled so mightily on the earth, that all the high mountains under the whole heaven were covered. The waters swelled above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits deep. And all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds, domestic animals, wild animals, and swarming creatures that swarmed on the earth, and all human beings. Everything on dry land, in whose nostrils was the breath of life, died. He blotted out every living thing that was on the face of the ground. Human beings and animals, and creeping things, and birds of the air, they were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those that were with him in the ark. And the waters swelled on the earth for 150 days. So God says to Noah, get in the ark. You're really awesome. Don't forget to bring, your sons and your wife and your wife's sons. Otherwise it'll be kind of boring later when you can't have sex with stuff. Don't forget to bring all the animals. But this time, we're going to differentiate it. Bring 7 pairs of clean animals, because you don't want to have a lot of dirty animals, so clean them up all good. Don't worry about going to find them, because I'll send them your way. Don't worry about it. It'll be cool. Yeah, so get in the ark. Just want to repeat myself. Get in the ark. Everybody get in. All the animals will come 2 by 2. And, they'll all come. Get in the ark. All right, good. You guys are all in the ark? Okay, cool. I'm going to shut the ark. So God shuts the ark. And then he decides, now it's time for lots and lots of water. Wait, no, how old are you again? It's your 600th birthday? Cool. Have some flood. It's nice. But wait a few little while, and then on the 2nd month, on the 17th day of your 600th year, I'll send it. Yeah, so you guys stay in the ark. So they stay in the ark for about 7 days. Everybody starts to go, really, Noah, I think you're crazy. God, and oh my God, and then water comes out of nowhere, like a lot of water. Water from the ground, water from the sky, water from the left, from the right. If you watched Forrest Gump, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then the water's so awesome that it just covers everything. We don't have any more land, we just have water and more water. And then it lasts for a really, really long time, and God kills everything. He kills all the birds, all the animals, all the bugs, and then he kills all the birds and all the animals and all the bugs a 2nd time, and all the humans twice over, because he wants to make sure to make this very clear. He blotted out everything. Everything. And then the only stuff that was still alive was all the stuff that was in Noah's little dinghy floating in the water. Very, very negative story. Everything died. First things first, for all you continuity hounds, you will note that last week I said 2 pairs of all the animals, but now this story says 7 pairs of clean animals and 2 pairs of unclean animals. And yes, this is a direct continuity error. There's only 2 explanations I could find for this, is that 1, they wanted to have animals to sacrifice after this whole fun ordeal, and 2, they might have wanted it for food, because fresh meat is a lot better than jerky. just like a universal law. And for those of you wondering what exactly a clean animal is, we haven't got to that part yet, but here's just a few, you know, like cows and reindeer. Those are clean, those are cool to eat, you can eat those, they're just fine. And unclean animals is still coming up, but here's some, like sharks and flamingos. I don't know why. Newts, you can't eat them. I just gotta save those for the witches. And now let's get into the various specifics of this flood, which is pretty awesome. There's two sources of water, got from the air and from the ground. So there's the fountains of the deep, which could just be like, you know, Old Faithful geyser blowing up because of all the pressure or something, whatever God decided to do there. And of course rain, it's a naturally occurring phenomenon. Happens all the time. Been happening here a lot. Starting to think we don't have anything but rain weather. And because of all this water and all of its just devastating power, as we've seen most recently in Japan, which was just one tsunami, it can be just massively devastating. So what biblical scholars say is that after this, the entire geography of the earth was completely changed. They believe that mountains were not as tall before, and that because of the pressure of the water on the earth, it caused the mountains to rise up higher than they were. The world that Noah lived in didn't really have a Mount Everest until after the flood, and then we had Mount Everest come up and be really, really tall, along with all the other mountain ranges, which are huge. Now the flood itself didn't last for just 40 days. It was going full force for 40 days, as in God turned on the faucet for 40 days and let everything fill up. The rain was coming, the water from the ground was coming up, but it's believed that the flood actually lasted for over a year until it finally settled down and everything relaxed. Exactly where the water went, I don't know, maybe magical water storage facilities under the earth that God invented. Now the iteration of Noah doing as God commanded him is very, very important. Normally the Bible doesn't repeat itself unless it's for a good reason, and this is showing that if you do as God tells you, you're going to be just peachy. So Noah built the ark just as God told him to do, got in the ark as God told him to do, and he was just fine. Everybody else who were doing things that God didn't like, they're not doing so fine. They're in magical underwater swimming land. And us humans are not very good at being underwater and swimming for very long periods of time, unless you're Michael Phelps, who is also a dolphin. As I said last episode, going to get all these different animals would be an insurmountable task for one human being to do. So in this story, God is bringing all the animals to Noah, which is considered to be a miracle, because no man could possibly get animals to do anything, as we know. Even Siegfried and Roy had a little bit of a problem with their tiger. Now we are given some more cubits this time, the most fun measurement ever, 45.72 centimeters. It's a good thing to remember. And the story says that the waters rose 15 cubits above the highest mountains. Now let's say the Mount Everest existed at this point, even though I've earlier said that it didn't exist and that it got taller afterwards. But let's say Mount Everest is there, and Mount Everest is 8,848 meters above sea level as of present day us now. And if there was floods that high, that means that the waters rose to a level of 8,854.9 meters above sea level. That is a ridiculous amount of water. Now let's try and look at some science. Does science say that this worldwide flood could have actually happened? There are some scientific findings that could attribute to a worldwide flood. There is the fact that you will find fossilized sea life and other types of animals in every single mountain range in the entire world. This is believed to be, from a creationist standpoint, the proof that is all that is needed. But then again, from a scientific standpoint, as people are taught in, I think, 8th grade, is that the Earth plates, when they meet, they're going to buckle, and one's going to go up, and the other one's going to go down, and that's how we get mountain ranges, most notably the Rocky Mountains. So it's very easy for the ocean plate that has a whole bunch of sea creatures to be pushed up and become a mountain, and can explain for a scientific reason that doesn't involve a flood of how the fossils got there. And another proof for this is just the sheer amount of giant flood stories that are in every single culture. You have them from Far East Asia, all the way to the Aztecs and the South American tribes, along with the North American tribes prior to the Europeans coming over, included in European culture and in African culture. And pretty much on everywhere in the world, there's recorded history of a giant flood happening that really, really sucked at some period of time. These stories do overlap in some areas, which leads people to believe that they're all the same story. So now, do I think that a flood actually happened? I'm going to have to say no. All the evidence that I'm presented is easily dismissible as either plate movements or just over-embellished tales of a giant flood that happened in a certain area. I know that there's a lot of water frozen at the poles. Al Gore's told me many times, but even if all that melted, it wouldn't be enough to cover the entire Earth. It would, of course, be very dangerous and a bunch of people would die, but it's not enough to be covering the entire Earth, which is what I take from a scientific standpoint, because the water that's on the Earth is the water that's on the Earth. It cannot escape it can only come here via comets. No matter how hard you try and throw water, you're not going to be able to throw it out of orbit. It's just a fact of, gravity. What I think this actually is there was a big, giant, devastating flood. Those totally happened. I'm not going to deny that. I'd be a complete idiot if I denied that floods happened. And then this is just a very, very over-embellished tale of a flood that was terrible and screwed everybody up. And so that it was attributed to God smiting people who were bad. So that is it for this episode of The Chains Project. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave them below or in an email to me. If you like floods, make sure to like this video. If you don't like floods, here's a cool looking thing that I found. Hopefully if you like that, but you don't like floods, you'll still like this video. And I was working on an outro, but I had my hair attacked by somebody with sharp things, so that kind of stopped me.